Sorry about that, guys. Had a little bit of a connection drop there, but it's all in hand. Play Weird is on the job, as always, so we might have some interruptions today because getting some interweb related upgrades, but fear not. Just continuing with this leather texture. I think so. I'll do a little outline. Should be the only one, fingers crossed. I hope so too. Just make everyone's life a lot easier if it was the only one. So whenever you've got a big empty space like this on a miniature, it's always good to think about how you can use that. You might want to play about with a nice color gradient or blend. You might want to do maybe a little bit of freehand if you're feeling particularly brave. But for this model, I decided that I wanted to get some interesting texture in here. I'll probably do some grime and stains too. Just in some of the areas where a little more light falls, you might even want to go a bit heavier. You can intensify some of the color in places. If you want your leather to look natural, it's a good idea to do that, really. Leather's got cracks and scratches in it. It's not one color all the way through either. It's the way it's tanned means that you have lots of different colors in it, the way it ages and wears. Leather's got a lot of character in it, so it makes it a really interesting thing to paint. Really, you can have a lot of fun as well painting something like this. I think anything where you get to be a little bit messy is good fun. I'm using a slightly beat up brush as well, which is giving me some interesting texture again. So I'm using a sort of controlled randomness for this. And what I'm doing is picking out some of the ridges in the leather. I want to leave some darker patches, some shadow in there, but I do also want to accentuate some of the lighter areas, create some volumetric highlights, if you want to use a fancy term for it. Rats. Been all about the rats on Weird Wednesdays for the last few sessions. Okay, let's pick out some of the edges. Thanks for popping in, Kyle. Always nice to see you here. If you're listening and you are interested in board games at all, imagine there'll be a few of you, and you have not heard of Vagrant Song, I have it on good authority that that's one that you should be checking out. I've not had the pleasure yet myself, but it is getting absolutely rave reviews. So much so that I think there are multiple print runs scheduled, because it can be a little bit tricky at times getting a hold of it because demand's quite high. I haven't had much of a chance to play as many board games as I would have liked, mainly due to various degrees of lockdowns and raising two small children in the midst of same, but I will definitely be checking out Vagrant Song. Both my wife and I have got a fairly substantial board game collection. Rat free. Don't know if I like the sound of that now. I'm just kidding. So I'm gonna mix in a little bit of Arabic shadow. With the brown leather. It's going to give me, you can hopefully see it there, that kind of colour. And I'm going to do the same thing again. Maybe being a little bit more selective. If you find that it's a little bit too stark when you're putting on subsequent layers, just you can always just water it down a bit, and then that will become less opaque. There you go, that's starting to become a little bit more apparent, hopefully. Oh, they're living on the desk now, are they? Play weird. Good place for them to live. And again, don't worry too much about being messy, because we can do a bit of tidying up as we go. Hey, Eleanor. Thanks for stopping by. And then do the same on the back. I'm reducing coverage a little bit this time so that we're not just going over everything. We're creating a little bit of a gradient. So okay. Now we're not getting great contrast at the moment because there's still quite a lot of brown in this, but I can assure you that it's not quite as subtle as it appears on camera as it is in the hand. Still a little bit on the belt here, a bit there, and then we'll put a bit of shadow onto it, I think. So I'm going to use a bit of Petroleum Gray to shade it. Put some in with the rats as well. Give them a bit of darken things down a little bit more near the bottom, I think. Where the staining will be a bit more intense. And take some Arabic shadow. Start just giving things a bit more definition. Hey, Murik. Thank you very much. Yeah, we're going for really doubling down on that plague thing, making everything quite gritty and gross looking. And obviously, because this is leather, it's fabric, where it's got that strange texture where there's a degree of rigidity to it, but it can still flow and move like cloth. So it's quite an interesting balancing act, I think. We'll do a bit more of this and then I think. Do some rats. It's a bit messy there. Use Jess's patented finger eraser. Scribble, scribble, scribble. I might do that. I might change the colour of that scarf. Just push the contrast a little bit. Okay. Still looking a bit blob-like, I think, so let's get some other colours in. So I'll do some walnut, some brown grey. What else will we go for? So Dubai brown. Okay. And I'm just going to going to be a little bit random, but I'm going to just pick out some of these rats. Give them a bit of colour. Yeah, good to see you again, G the Furry. Thank you for joining us. Yeah, Rat King's fairly big model. No joke. Okay. Let's blend some of those colours a little bit. It is because he's so full of rats. Well, there's a lot of them. I think the way that these work in the game, it's a bit like Rat Voltron. When you get a group of rats together, they can combine into a Rat King. Ratron. Kind of hard picking a lot of these out, actually. Not always immediately obvious. And then a bit of Dubai brown. And then we'll pick out some tails, I think, after this. So, bit of pink flesh for that one. Mix this with dried black to do my tails. So I'm more or less repeating the process of the Malifaux rats. Pick out their muzzles again. So hopefully things are starting to take a bit more definition for you guys. I'm aware it's quite a lot of brown, but it is a big swarm of rats essentially, so still have PTSD from facing Hamlin in second edition. You need to take a book and read for 30 minutes when your opponent was activating rats. Then you needed tissues, so you helpless and watch that. What's wrong with that? That sounds like fun. Fun for the Hamlin player, maybe. I genuinely picked these guys because I really love the story of the Pied Piper. It's a lot darker than the stuff that you're told in nursery, that's for sure. That is dark. So I think my very crude synopsis of the original Pied Piper story is that he was hired by a town. It's a Grimm's. It's one of the Grimm fairy tales, which a lot of you've probably heard of. But the brothers Grimm were a pair of German writers who decided to collate a bunch of folk tales, and it's also where we get most of what we call fairy tales in our day and age. So the story of the Pied Piper was that he was hired to help a town that had a serious rat problem. So he would use his pipes, hence Pied Piper, to play a magical ditty and lure the vermin away from the town, which he did. He used his magical pipes, and he successfully lured the rats away from the beleaguered town. The town decided not to pay the Pied Piper, so he used his magical pipes once again, but this time he used them on the children, and he took all of the town's children. So yeah, good night, kids. Yeah, that is a very brief, very crude synopsis of the story, but I believe that is how the original story ends. The moral of the story is pay your tradesman. A lot of the morals of these stories are pretty obscure, to be honest. Yeah. Which I think, so I think the obviously the three stolen totems that Hamlin has are a wee bit of a nod to that original darker fairy tale ending. Yeah. You hear these people don't pay me to your kids. Yeah, that'll teach them. So see these people that say that they're they're looking for their fairy tale ending. They want their wedding to be like a fairy tale or something like that. I don't know what they're talking about. I don't know what you're asking for. It's a little bit difficult to see some of the finer details on camera because obviously I don't want to be taking things way off camera where you guys can't see them. So there's some stuff I think I might need to do a little bit later because it's just a bit tricky to see. Like I'm struggling to pick out the face a little bit just now. That's there. I might need to take a look at the render. I think it might just be the way that I've shaded it, but I'm struggling to see that a little. So I don't remember the ending of Cinderella, but I would love to hear it if you're willing. The moral of Hansel and Gretel: burn old ladies who stand in your way. That's a good one. I think Rapunzel's another one that's got quite a horrible ending, isn't it? Like, does it not end with like she can't fit into her dress because she's pregnant or something like that? Because I think I have spoken to quite a few people who have actually studied these fairy tales at university or things like if they if they're doing like a literature course or something like that, and they put the mother in Cinderella in burning shoes until she dies for being abusive. Nice. That'll teach her. So one of the theories about a lot of these fairy tales is that they're sort of warnings. And let's get one thing clear, right? Like they're not, no one's claimed that they're the best written. They're oral traditions. Some of them we don't even know how old they are. But regardless of how well written they are, they do have value because they are reflections of the cultures and the values that those cultures held. So they're always going to be important and they're always going to be interesting in that respect. So one theory that I have heard about them is that a common thread throughout these stories is it's warnings of the temptations that come with adolescence. Is one thing that I've heard, which is quite interesting, especially when you consider that a lot of the characters in the stories are uh, young women who back then would be approaching an age where they could be married or would be they're probably being primed for being married off. Which is another kind of horrible, but the how dark the stories are means that they make rather good source material for things like Malifaux. So I think that watching battle reports is helpful, definitely, especially if you want to get an idea of how something plays or you're wanting to learn the game. But rules will come and go, would be my advice. Rules will come and go, so I would just pick whatever you think looks cool, or the one that you like the backstory of, or that sort of thing. So I picked Hamlin's crew. Cool. Okay, right. Well, maybe if I talk through my rationale for the masters that I've picked, because I've narrowed it down to two masters that I will be playing slash collecting, I guess. Well, no, three actually. Three. I've got three. So one of them is Hamlin, and I picked Hamlin because, as I said earlier, love all that creepy Pied Piper type stuff. So that's a fairly self-explanatory one. Oh, like the Pied Piper. Well, he's a Pied Piper looking guy. Nice. So the other two that I've picked are Lord Cooper, because he's a gun-toting lunatic who can take a giant dinosaur into battle with him. And for me, when I heard that was an option, the Malosaurus Rex, it's like, say no more. I will be working on a Lord Cooper crew. And actually, our very own Cuslado, aka Doug, is working on a Lord Cooper crew at the moment. And he'll be back on Monday if you want to check that out. Yeah, so that one's fairly self-explanatory as well. But the other one that I've picked and is probably, I think, going to be the one that I work on next, because I think that I might possibly be playing this one the most, is Frontier Crew, Cornelius Bass. I just think he's an excellent character. So right away, they're the three masters that came to your thinking right away. So I would say that you've probably narrowed it down already without fully realizing it. If there's three in particular that you felt merit mentioning, so there's that. The other thing is, bearing in mind Malifaux, its crews of typically between 5 and 15 models tops, probably. He says, looking at across at his horde of rats. Generally speaking, it's you're talking about between half a dozen and a dozen models. So really, there's nothing, I think, to stop you from eventually having all three of those crews, those masters in your collection. And I think there possibly is a bit of overlap there between Marcus and Titania. I think that they can take some similar stuff. Marcus with the beast keyword. I think quite a few of the beasts have got the Fae keyword as well. So there's that. Yeah, so there's nothing to stop you from getting all of them eventually. So you could just pick up Marcus for now and then maybe look into. So I think the Autumn Queen Titania is out next month. I think Play Weird will be able to correct me on that. I don't have the release schedule in front of me currently. So let's do a little bit on the base and then we'll see how that's looking. So I believe the base dry brushed, I think it was Gobi Brown, if I can remember where I put the Gobi Brown. I think it's up there, is it? Yeah, that's it. So Gobi Brown's got a little bit of a green tinge to it. Oh, paint explosion. I think it all went on the dry palette though, so okay. That just erupted there though. Jeez, oh. Not going to be needing that much. Make sure I don't stick my elbow in that. Yeah, just a bit of a dry brush. Get a bit of that detail. Yeah, because you're still going to need that Titania box anyway to flesh out your crew, and you're going to want the totem as well, I believe. I really like the Titania models actually; they're really nice. And as a bonus, Malosaurus Rex has the fake keyword, so you would be able to take a Malosaurus Rex in a Titania crew. I'll do this other base while I'm here. Okay. I'm going to quickly look up our rat bases. Because I can't remember everything that I put on the rat base. Okay, looks like there's a lot of green. That's a little bit of Ardennes green over that. Give it a sort of grimy appearance. Kind of stipple on a bit as well. And then lastly, a bit of Sherwood green. I'm going to be a little bit heavier with this, so I'm not wiping quite as much off as I did with the other. It's just going to help create some of that kind of sewery ick. It's a sort of sickly green. Don't want it to be too bright though, because I don't want to pull too much focus away from the model itself, which that can happen sometimes if you make your base a little bit too bright. There you go. That's reading a bit better now, I think. Still got a lot of no worries, Cheetah. Thanks for stopping in. Look forward to hearing about what you purchased once you make your mind up. I hope work's not too strenuous for you. Right, I'm going to paint out some more of the brown on the bottom, I think, because it's going to help with reading the model. I'm going to flip this around so I don't end up sticking my elbow. Hey Doug, thanks for popping by. Hope you're doing well. Doug has been hard at work preparing for the Las Vegas Open. He's going to be putting on some Malifaux events. Been doing loads of cool terrain for that. So make sure to check in on him. Make sure he's behaving himself. He has been known to misbehave. So I'm gonna put some water and some of that gross moss on this base as well. So what I do to help the water effect along a little bit is I put in this really dark green. It's a Games Workshop colour called Nocturne Green, which is it's a warm green, but it's a very dark colour. Yep, it's I saw some of the renders of the casino table. It looks very cool. I am hoping to get along to the Las Vegas Open eventually. It's one that I've never been able to attend. Okay, so I'm sure it is. Like I think I'm sure I've mentioned before. My uncle actually lives in Las Vegas, so it's I've never been to the Las Vegas Open, but I've been to Las Vegas plenty of times. It's a town I'm quite fond of. I think it has a slightly unfair reputation with regards to all the Sin City stuff, but it's just one man's opinion. Hey, mate, Bluff. Thank you for popping in. Maybe I'll be able to get along to Las Vegas Open 2023. Who knows? World might be a slightly calmer place then. It's actually a really good time to visit Las Vegas because it is not swelteringly hot at that time of year. Still, for someone like me who's from the frozen north, that's still swimming pool weather for me in February. But I have been to Las Vegas in the summer before, and you just straight up don't go outside during the day. The good thing is there's plenty of indoor stuff to do there. When I've been before, I actually spend quite a bit of time away from the Strip. Just hang out with my uncle. I think he's moved, but when he did stay there, he stayed in a residential area of Las Vegas called Silverado. And so that was South Las Vegas. I'm all good, McBluff. Keeping busy, keeping out of trouble. Wishing I was going to Las Vegas Open, but perhaps one day. I'm sure I'll get there eventually. Just picking out some of these bricks. Help things pop a little bit more. I think I might paint this rocker with the rocks a slightly stonier colour. Make things a bit more interesting. He's looking pretty good so far, isn't he? I'm struggling a little bit with picking out some of the details. Just 'cause it's a little tricky sometimes when you're streaming. Because I've got my lightings set up a little bit different from the way I normally would. And let's do his crown. And then I think I'll do a little bit of work on the other one. Try and bring them up to scratch. So I'm using Pro Acryl bronze. They do some really nice metallics. I had another. Anyway. So got this on a sheet of plasticard that I've primed grey, which I use as a dry palette, because if you put metallics on a wet palette, they will split. So don't want to be doing that. There we go, that's looking good. I'll let that cure a little before I do any more touching up on it. Shading. Yeah, I really enjoyed painting all of the models that I've worked on so far from Hamlin's crew. Really characterful. Well, I'm not too sure what I'm gonna do next. I'm actually when I finish up here, I'm probably gonna go and get the tainted filth set, because that's the only one that I don't have with the plague keyword. So I might do the winged plagues next, and then that means that all the minions are done. Except for the rat catchers, but they're, as minions go, I think it's safe to say that they're a little bit more bespoke. Oh, I've messed up my blender, got hair stuck in it. Hate when that happens. I'll get some moss and things like that on here as well. Might even do maybe some roots popping up. Okay. Do some touch-ups on the crown. Made a little mistake there. I'll touch that up later. Thank you. It's getting there. It's getting there. Still quite a bit of work to do, but it's quite a lot of detail on these guys. So let's do a little work on the other jacket. So I think I'm going to do this paler color. So to that end, so I've got a mix of dryad bark and brown grey in here. And I'm just back to doing my scribbly texture. I actually find that if I do a sort of rough kind of figure of eight sort of motion, and just repeat that, you get quite a natural looking pattern. It looks like creased and cracked old leather. Like that. Clearing a few things up now. I'll be sharing in Las Vegas. So open promo post some cool pics. Cool. I'll keep an eye out for that. I'll give you a little shout out on my socials too. Your shoulders hurt? No. I'm sorry to hear that. Well, thank you for working. I do appreciate it. I hope you're not in pain for too long. Let me get better soon. Oh, quite subtle again, but it's subtly building the effect up that's it's key to making it convincing. Can build up a little bit in places again. Okay, that's the first pass with that done. Oh, that's a bit historic. What I'll do as well is outline some of the more pronounced creases as well, and just stipple that in instead of sketching it or drawing it in like you would with a regular edge highlight. And what breaking up the highlight like that does is it softens it, and it helps to create that texture, but also that sense of fluidity that leather has. You could even, if you wanted to, and I might do it in both of these, is paint some scratches into, because it's kind of hard, you can scratch leather, of course. So it's quite an interesting thing to paint leather because it can be so different, and within a piece of leather you can have lots of different textures. You can have parts of leather that are quite glossy and clean. You can have parts of leather that have an almost satin texture to them, and then parts of it can be quite rough and matte. So again, something I think about is contrast is more than just colors and tones. It's textures, it's themes. Dynamic versus static. The height, great contrast. At times people get a little bit too fixated on colour and colour recipes when it comes to painting miniatures, when it's just one facet to the thing, isn't it? Really. So much more to it all. Okay. So I think they're going to look quite distinct from one another, which is good. Definitely getting somewhere. If it's okay, play weird, I'll step away for just a couple of minutes and stretch my legs. You just let me know when we're okay, play weird, and I will. Great. And we're back. Thank you for hanging with us. So I figure we're going to have a quick look at the the 3D render of the Rat King. Just so I can place the eyes. So it looks like it's two rats kind of cuddling up in the hood, so let's see. So I'll use a bit of Mephiston Red for this. I figure this is going to help with picking out a lot of the other detail. Okay, I see it now. Maybe should have done this first. So there you go. If you're painting the Rat Kings, there's a little tip for you. Do the eyes first. I have overloaded that brush a little. Let's see how it's looking on the other one. It's a little buddy. Okay. Okay. And try and push that contrast a little more just by putting a little black outline on it. A little bit of eyeliner for the Rat King. Let that one dry a bit. Looking like some kind of plague-ridden black mage almost. Hair dryer. Let's try and pick the eyes out a little bit more. It's a little bit messy, but don't like that left one. I think I'm going to redo it. There we go. A bit more frightening now. Let's pick out some more of these little rat eyes. Turn up the creepiness factor. Have all these eyes peering back at you. That one's a mess. There's a lot of these wee guys in here. Let's try and give a bit more definition to his mate. I think those eyes are better than the other one. Nice and creepy. Just how we like it. Now we can get back to this young man's jacket. I'm just doing a sort of quick version of this, but you'd spend a lot of time messing around with different opacities, slightly different patterns. But this is, if you're painting a lot of Malifaux models, which I imagine a lot of you watching will be, this is a really great technique, because you get a lot of leather textures in Malifaux, given the the time period. So the way that I'm doing this, although it appears random, really it is like a sort of controlled chaos, because although I'm doing a lot of this scribbling motion, the randomness is confined to certain areas of the model. So bearing in mind you need a good light to do this, but all I'm basically doing is observing where more light and more shadow falling on the model, and then I'm trying to accentuate that with how I'm painting it, where I'm placing the lighter colours and the darker colours. Some people like to use a bit of grayscaling to help with this, and if you are wanting to light your model a certain way, like if you want to, if you want the light source to be coming from above and uplighting the model, then it would probably help you to work from some reference pictures you've taken. Some people, what they'll do is they'll actually take the model while it's just primed, and then they will use a light source, like a lamp or a torch, something like that, and then they will light the model from the direction that they want to paint the model being lit from, and then they'll use those as reference images for while they're working on the model. But if you're just assuming that the model's standing in daylight or there's a light source just up above it, as we're doing here, then yeah, you maybe don't need to do that. Some people swear by grayscaling, but it's not something that I will admit that I've found particularly beneficial. After I've done this, I'm going to do a little bit of blending and shading on what we've got here. And then I think I can probably afford to push some of these colors a bit further again. Some more highlights. little bit heavy there. And do a little bit more at the top there, I think. Build it up a bit more. There's a bit more light coming down here than there is up here for the moment. And just build some of that up like so. I like how this is looking at. I actually think that this is something akin to the colour that I'm going to do Hamlin's clothes in. At least I'll do the core box Hamlin. Okay, let's blend some of those colours in there. I think actually I quite like these edges being a bit darker out here. I feel like that's going to help pull a bit more focus towards the middle of the model. I think I like this one better than the other one. I'll take a little bit of the Petroleum Gray. Wow, shots fired from sea bass there. Just straight for the jugular there. There's quite a few horrors surrounding Rat Kings, aren't there? I mean, like, surprising absolutely no one. Like, I mean, can you imagine being a poor little maintenance worker and then seeing this thing shambling towards you in the sewers? Just straight up die, wouldn't you? I have heard that they are ubiquitous in the city of New York, as they are, I might add, in any large city. They are the most successful animal after humans, after all. Yeah, you get in any any urban area, really, I think, on the face of the earth. Can't really get away from them. That's it. I think if there's anyone more clued up, any zoologist or anything like that listening, please feel free to correct me. But I think that most of the rat species that we have kicking around now are actually from the Far East, or at least originate from out that neck of the woods. And I think it was the Silk Roads. Just what I've heard. I mean, it would stand to reason if they were moving around a lot earlier than that. There's actually they reckon that most people of European descent that are alive today are carriers of a thing called the delta gene, because I think there's actually quite a bit of research to substantiate some of this stuff. But basically, if you're alive today, there's a good chance that you almost certainly are descended from someone that survived the plague, the bubonic plague. So it also means that there is a very good chance that you're a carrier of the delta gene, which is a gene that I believe grants immunity to the bubonic plague, if not at least some resistance to it. There's actually quite a few recent outbreaks of bubonic plague. They might have been in Africa. Okay, let's see how we're looking. Doing good so far. I'll do a little bit more of that later on, but you get the gist. So let's background on it. A little bit of bronze. Okay, so it looks like that is almost all we've got time for. So let's have a quick assess, see where we're at. So for the Hamlin crew, we've got 12 racks done. We've got 2 Rat Kings half done. Maybe a little bit more than half done. Because we're going for a high tabletop standard. We're not necessarily going display paint here, so we want them looking nice on the table, but don't want to spend too much time because we want to get the whole crew on the tabletop. So maybe just a little more on them. We've still got a bit to do on Nick's as well. And then that's 15 in the crew done. And then we'll have the 2 rat catchers, the 3 stolen, the obedient wretch, the 3 winged plagues, Benny, what's his name, and Hamlin. Still quite a lot to do. Yeah, still got quite a few minions, but I think I'll continue with Benny. Is it Benny? Hold on, I'll look it up. It's the guy from Tainted Filth Box. Benny Walcom. It's Benny Walcom still to do. So yeah. Oh yeah. Stream times. I think there's some graphics kicking around the internet. But anyway, that is it for me this week. I will have a think about what I'm doing next week, and I'm sure we'll have a graphic up for all you guys. But I think I'll probably do something plaguey again, and then I think after that might take a break and do the Jackdaw title model. Lots of fun stuff that we can work on. All right, guys, thank you very much for joining me again, and I will see you next Wednesday. Bye-bye.